Hi, I'm Holly McDonald with Bella Real Estate, and welcome to 2021. I've got some great things I want to share with you about the market to kind of educate you on what's going on. 2020 was obviously a very strange year, and the market actually did quite well here in Southern California. But how does that impact us right now? And what does 2021 look like? And where are we, now that it's January? I know last year when Lena and I first started this podcast in January of 2020, obviously we had a pretty optimistic outlook. The market was hot then, and actually January is typically a slower month. We're usually kind of winding up to get into the spring market. This year it is like on fire. So let me tell you a little bit about what's going on, what I have seen, what's been successful for people, what isn't working, what people are frustrated about, just to give you kind of some insight. Obviously, I wish I had a crystal ball to tell you where the market is going. I know every buyer wants to hear prices are coming down. I can't tell you that because I don't know for sure, but what I can tell you is kind of what trends we're seeing so that you can figure out what makes the most sense for you financially and figure out your goals if buying or selling or leasing or renting is in your future for 2021. So I've got some notes. Let me get started. In 2020, prices escalated. Most people thought once the pandemic hit that there could be a decline. And honestly, none of us really knew for sure what was going to happen. But as we saw, pretty much there was a slowdown in March after the shutdown orders happened, and part of April because people were very uncertain about what was going to happen. When interest rates got reduced and just started really benefiting buyers, I would say right around May, things started to take off. And since then, we have not really looked back. We saw prices drop to staggering lows I've never seen before. I don't think anybody's seen these rates so low before. Most of my clients are getting rates below 3%, which is, obviously it's lower than inflation. It's such a great way to position your money so that it's working for you. Because when rates are higher, of course, you're gonna be paying a lot of interest, but when the rates are low and you are able to spread that out over a really long period, and in a lot of cases, it has been very beneficial for people. They're able to pay less than they would for even renting. So lots of positive things going on with regards to that. Okay. So then, sorry, next up, just looking at my notes. So what happened after May was, as a result of more buyers jumping into the market, trying to get the lower interest rates, we then saw prices rise. More homes did come on the market in the summer and the fall than we would normally see. Some of that was people that were planning to list in the spring and didn't really know what to do when COVID hit. They put a pause on everything. But then when they saw that buyers were out there buying and prices were starting to go up, they flooded the market. We didn't have a huge flood of inventory because inventory was quite low overall, but there was certainly more to pick from than, there was more coming on the market in the summer and fall than you would normally see. However, the flip side of that was that there were more buyers looking because everybody was hearing how great the rates were. And I think it's kind of a bandwagon effect. So a lot of times what I've seen, we saw this in like 2006 as well. When you see people rushing into the market and prices climbing, then other people want to jump in because they realize that prices are climbing. They might as well get in while their chances of their equity going up is increasing. So we've definitely seen a lot of that. And let me check. Let me see what else I've got here. So, okay. The market ended up being much more of a seller's market for people in the end of 2020. And that's where we're at right now. It is still a seller's market. The unfortunate side is if you are a buyer, it is a very frustrating market in a lot of cases. We are seeing buyers get outbid. We are seeing multiple offer scenarios. We are seeing buyers removing lots of contingencies, really just doing whatever they can to get a property. It is frustrating for buyers, and I understand that, and it is hard to explain, especially if you are, from a different area, or you haven't bought a home in a long time, and maybe you bought a home before when it was a buyer's market, so you were used to maybe getting a discount. In this market, that's very rare. It is obviously, it all depends on the property and maybe if the home is overpriced, but at the current moment, most homes, if they're priced reasonably, if they're in decent condition and a good location, and especially if they're in really nicely redone condition, they're going through the roof, multiple offers, pretty much every price point. I mean, specifically the lower price points, and even like here in Costa Mesa, we're seeing it all the way up to like $2 million. So people are shopping, and that can be very frustrating for buyers. I have certainly worked with buyers that are very much going through a cycle of, is it worth it? Like this is like a rat race. I'm just chasing the prices upwards, and am I ever going to get in? And I know people have a resistance to overpaying. You see a price tag and you think that should be the price, or it'd be great to get a deal. And then when you realize you're paying more than maybe the last house sold for, it can be a large pill to swallow. And it is hard to justify. I mean, all I can really say is that is what is going on in our market. And if you're not, ready to compete with that, then you might need to take a step back and really watch the trends. If you look at what a home is listed for and then follow up with it in 30 to 45 days and see what it's sold for, in a lot of cases, you're going to see that price has gone up, up, up. I know my clients just put in an offer on a house that was listed in the mid 800s and it got bid up well over 900. So easily a $50,000 increase in what the asking price was. That can be frustrating. I mean, you may need to lower your price point a little bit just to look at properties that are lower so that you can come out stronger to make that higher offer if that's, your cap. And I understand that might not be as appealing because you base your price point a lot of times on what you think you can get for that range. And in this market, it doesn't always make sense. If you're a very methodical person and you're looking at price per square foot, it's not always going to make sense. One house in the neighborhood could be selling for $500 a square foot. The next one could be going for $700 a square foot. It's crazy. But a lot of the time it does depend on how like current the property is, like what sort of features it has. If it's all updated, dialed in, totally turnkey, totally stylish and modern, it's going to fetch a higher price. Unless it has some sort of a negative connotation with it. Some of those might be location specific. There's so many different things. But if you see a property that does get a run of offers, they're most likely getting those offers in the first couple of days because the inventory is just so limited right now. So that's another thing. If you are looking at homes, you have to be aggressive. I mean, you have to be able to get out there and look at the homes within the first couple of days because a lot of times they're going, and sellers are not necessarily waiting. I mean, they realize if they've got a good thing, if they got a good qualified solid buyer with a great offer, they're not going to wait because they might lose them. All the buyers right now that are out there and aggressively making offers and have been going through this cycle for the last few months, they know that they want to lock a house in because they realize it might be a while until another house that they adore comes on the market. And if it takes a couple of months, the prices are probably going to go up. So people want to lock it in. And also, right now with the rates being so low, it's really appealing to be a buyer, but we don't know how long the rates will last. I hope it's for a while, just for people that have been searching and hoping that they can secure that interest rate, but we don't know. So getting in now is a priority for a lot of people. So those are some of my notes on how frustrating it can be for buyers. I would just say, as you experience the market and sort of find out what homes are selling for, then you can get a better idea for what it's going to take. I know it, again, I understand that that's the opposite of what you would want as a buyer. As a buyer, you want to get the best deal in town and you want to, be aggressive and all that fun stuff. I mean, that is what people think of, but you also have to read your market. And if your market is the opposite of that, where homes are going up and people are overbidding, if you're going to be a winner, you're going to have to play by the rules of the game. So right now, as we enter into 2021, inventory is still low. I have seen it pick up since the beginning of the year. Obviously, it was slower around Christmas and New Year's, and that is typical. People are on vacation. They're, taking the decorations down from their house. But now that we are entering a period where people are getting back into like their groove and they're realizing what the market is like, being as favorable as it is for so many different reasons, sellers are hopping back in, so more homes are coming up. I do expect that trend will continue. It normally does, but it is promising, I think, in some ways to see that there is more inventory hitting the market as early as January. I think that's only a positive sign for what the spring market will bring. I think it will bring more options. I also think that with those options, there's probably going to be an influx of buyers as well, because as they hear about the great interest rates that they could get, and the buzz about the market is just so positive right now. Real estate is doing well here in Southern California and in Orange County specifically. So as people kind of, jump on the bandwagon, I think we're just going to see more competition. But hopefully, if there are more homes available, instead of a home getting 15 offers, maybe they only get 8. And even though that is still a staggering number, it's a little bit less for you to have to stand out against. So a few tips for you right now. If you are a seller, it is a seller's market. I know I've said that 10 times already, but there are homes that are not selling or they're sitting on the market longer. So if you want to be a successful seller, you really do want to price your home right. The market is determining the new values. I mean, it's like I said, you cannot necessarily look at what the last house sold for and then like add up for upgrades or subtract for, a house being not as upgraded. The math of this is not all making sense, which can be very frustrating for appraisals as well, but that's a different video topic. But you can always message me if you want to talk more about that. If you are grossly overpriced and not reading the market well, the market's going to respond in that way too, and you may not get offers, you may not get showings, you may be disappointed. And obviously that's not a happy thing for a seller when they're going through the trouble of trying to sell their house. So being realistic and then listening to the market is still, you can't escape that. So if you're going to be a seller, please, don't be greedy and listen to the market. And if you're priced right and you're, presented well, you do all the things that we recommend, then you will likely do very well. And you could potentially have multiple offers. And I know sellers don't always like that because then sometimes they think they were underpriced. But I think if you really kind of gauge where the value is and what people are seeing when they see your house as a buyer, because remember, buyers are looking at everything that's out there and comparing what they could get for this price in this area and that price. They have their, way of doing value too. So you want to obviously attract your buyers, read your audience. So don't be greedy, price your house right, make it presentable, and you should be in a much better situation. If you're a buyer, like I said, I understand it's contrary to maybe what you would be hoping for, but when it is a seller's market, you do have to be ready to put your best foot forward. There are different strategies to making that happen. And, it's not always going to be successful because if you've got a lot of competition, somebody might be better off outbesting you. But I will say, if you are able to put your best foot forward, price is probably always going to be the number one thing, but there are different ways that you can make yourself stand out, make your offer look attractive. You could shorten your contingency timeframes. You could remove some contingencies. There are different ways to handle it depending on the situation. So, as a buyer, try not to get too hung up on paying over asking price. I know that's a hard one. Let me say it again. Try not to get too hung up on paying above the asking price. In this market, prices are haywire. So you might feel like you're overpaying, and maybe you are. But if you're doing it in order to get the house that you want, that you're going to be in for a while, and you're getting it at a low rate, most likely you're going to witness what everybody's kind of afraid of and why they're jumping onto the bandwagon. They are trying to get in before the prices go up. And if you set the new bar and then the next house comes on the market for more or goes for more, it's not really a loss, but you do have to be willing to acknowledge the fact that because other buyers are willing to pay more, that may be what it takes to make yourself stand out. So take a leap of faith, be reasonable, listen to your agents, watch what's going on, learn from that. Most of the patterns we're seeing from, for houses that are closing now are from 30 days ago that, they were on the market during the holiday season. Now we're in January when there's more buyers looking, so more competition. So I can only tell you that it's getting more competitive. So look at those trends, the most recent ones, see what's going on with the houses that are listed last week, if they're already in escrow, how quickly they went into escrow, find out if you can, how many offers did they get, how much above asking did they get. You might not always be able to get this information, but your agent might be able to. And just having that knowledge is power. And of course, I'm happy to help, however I can, to educate you. Every little area is going to be different ultimately, but Orange County is a very hot market right now. We are fortunate. We live in an awesome area. It's very attractive. Price points are, they're quite high compared to other areas of the country, which is good and bad. I mean, it's good for you as a homeowner. It's good for you in terms of increasing your value and your equity position over time. You can do very, very well to own real estate here, which is, of course, why a lot of people try to get out of the renting cycle, is they would hope that they could own and start, paying themselves back. And there's no better time than when the interest rates are so rock bottom. So that's where we're at. It's currently January 13th. I will update you again next week. I expect there will just continue to be a rise of inventory and the market will still be outpacing itself. I do hope I have some good news to report to you on some buyers that I know are getting so frustrated. I did have a buyer that this week was very successful in getting an offer accepted, but it was challenging and we had to be very creative in how to make our offer stand out. So it is possible, but you do have to have patience. And I always advise my clients, do not fall in love with a property. Give it your all, but don't fall in love, because you might be very disappointed if you're outbid by someone else, which there's a lot of people out there that are bidding right now. So anyway, I wish you the best. I am here to answer your questions about the market, about buying, selling, your home values, investing, any of that. Feel free to email me at realtorhollymcdonald@gmail.com, or you can call or text me at 714-928-4682. It was nice seeing you. Happy New Year. And I look forward to helping you with your real estate throughout 2021 and into the future. Bye.